Hey there everybody, and welcome to Bits of Board, where we're talking board games, miniatures, cards and dice. My name's Michael, and today we're going to be checking out Vast, the Crystal Caverns. Now this is I can't even begin to describe it. This is a wicked asymmetric game for 1 to 5 players. Each different player in this game has completely different role with completely different actions, victory conditions. It's wild. So we're going to start off by going through all of the different roles in the game. Let's hit it off. Alright, so first off we've got the Knight. Now she is all about exploring the cave and slaying the dragon. She's got a really unique action point system in that she's very flexible. She can use her hero cubes to boost a skill whenever she needs it. So if she needs to move long distances, she can boost her movement by adding the cube there, or if she wanted to boost her strength for an encounter, she could just add it down there. She's also got these main pieces of equipment that she can use at any point. The bomb being one of her main ways of damaging the dragon in the early parts of the game. While the dragon is still in its sleeping form, she can use the bomb once a turn to create an opportunity to wound it before it's even tried to escape. She can also use it to sort of break down walls for easier movement within the cave. She's got her bow here, which she uses to shoot goblins from a distance, ancient maps to make her able to move through walls without actually blowing them up, and then she's got her shield, which kind of prevents her from getting moved around a little bit. Now the way that she gets more of these cubes is actually by increasing her grit, and she does this by exploring the cave, smashing crystals, killing the thief, a bunch of different things. And when she collects a couple more, goes up the score point there, she takes those cubes that she can use immediately. She starts the game with a couple of side quest cards here, which if she accomplishes the deed on the quest card, she can increase her grit by the amount in the top right corner. As she explores, she gets event cards given to her by the cave, and also draws treasure cards for some sweet moves. So for example, she could use this card here, placing a cube in the top corner to gain some extra movement. As an example of the first turn, we might use the hero's 1 movement and perception to move into the dark room over here. Using her perception, she reveals the tile and gets to complete whatever event's on there. In this case, it being revealing a treasure card, and it's those boots from before. She decides not to take the boots, boosting her grit by 5 points and giving her another cube to play around with. She then might move, put a cube on the movement section here, giving her a bonus 2 movement, going from 1 to 3, using those 2 movement to run in here, dropping the cube down on perception to reveal this tile here. Now she's revealed 2 more cubes, 2 more tiles, so she gets to boost her grit by 2 and gets to take an event card. Now this one here allows the knight to reveal all tiles surrounding the knight, which is a really good one. After the knight moved and revealed some, pathways around there, the cave player would then place a number of tiles out, so that always out of the of that particular room are barred, and then because of that event, the player would then get to reveal all of these, gaining extra grit for revealing them. Alright guys, next we've got the goblins. Now there are 3 tribes for the goblin player to control. We've got the Fang tribe, the Bone tribe, and the Eye tribe. Now these guys each have a different special ability. The Fangs tribe, they have an additional strength displayed by this red disc here. The Bone tribe can summon an additional monster, and the Eye tribe can uncover more secrets, which is drawing from that deck over there. The main objective of the goblins is to actually kill the knight. They do this by declaring war, so each turn they draw a war card, and then they increase the population of each of their tribes by the amount shown here. So for example, the Fangs tribe will gain 3, Bones will gain 2, Eye tribe will gain 1. So the player will dish these population counters out and placing them underneath their goblin. They'll then go ahead and draw monsters based on the card. So this card will actually allow one monster card to be drawn, and they can be assigned to any of the players. This one here is the Wisp, and that's pretty much if one of the tribes can see the knight, you may move the knight up to 3 tiles in any direction through unoccupied lit tiles. So kind of like drawing the knight through. So say we might want to give that to the Fangs tribe because they're pretty strong. And then you draw a secret card based on the number here. This one happens to be a 0, so we don't get to draw one. Each tribe gets to perform one of their actions, from moving if they're already on the map, attacking if they've got an enemy to attack, plundering if they want to take some treasure tokens or dragon gems, explore, which they can use to place more dark tiles down, reveal, which is actually when the Goblin tribe can be placed on the map. So for example, the Fangs tribe can be placed on any of the dark tiles that have the Fangs symbol on it. The Goblins can also choose to hide, scampering away from the map back onto the player board. Finally, the tribe can choose to actually use its special action, from increasing its strength by 1, drawing and placing a monster card, or drawing that secret card. An opening turn for the Goblins, actually let's just put the knight out for a moment. An opening turn for the Goblins might be that the Fang tribe wants to maybe, hopefully next turn, start attacking the knight, so they move out onto the map. The Bones tribe might decide to draw that monster card and place it, grabbing the Underworm here. Let's say they want that one. Finally, the Eye tribe might draw a secret card, which you can add to a hand of 5 cards, a maximum of 5 cards. So this one here, the Poison card, can be played anytime one of the tribes attacks the hero, and then makes the hero take one of their hero cubes, placing it on the entrance tile. So that might be a really nice inconvenience to help the Goblins out against the knight. Alright, so next up we've got the Dragon. And now his main goal is to go from Sleepy Dragon, and he needs to wake up and escape the cave. Now the way he does this is he has to accomplish a bunch of mini goals. And for every goal that he manages to accomplish, he removes one of his cubes from up here in the sloth section into his wakefulness down here. The top line here, they're for greed. He needs to track down treasure tokens to get rid of those. Over here we've got pride, which means he's got to explore and come across event tiles throughout the cave. Down in the hunger one here, he has to start eating goblins, which directly ties in to those population counters on the Goblin team. He's got 2 unique goals as well. This one here is place a dragon gem while any are already on the map. And then this one here is don't move for the turn. So once he accomplishes all those things and moves all of these cubes down here, he can turn into a wakeful dragon and try to escape. Now that's not all for him. He's actually got a health track as well that's going to come in handy as the knight starts to berate him. He's got his dragon gems here, which provide extra symbols for his powers here. So pretty much every turn, the dragon draws 3 cards, and these are his to use as he will. This is good. We've got one of each to have a look at. We've got the flame card here, which can be used to activate the flame ability, which is a very cool little dice here. Pretty much you roll the dice, and for every tile that, so the center tile is the tile that the dragon's currently on. Every tile that's lit up around it gets revealed, which is cool. So he has a puff of flame and lights up the cave for everyone. The wing here can be used to help move him around. Although he gets a free movement, this one will come in very much handy. And then he's got the claw, which can be used to attack both goblins and to move the knight around. Now these symbols can also be combined to do a bunch of other things. For example, claw and flame can be combined to activate the slither ability, which allows you to move one of the cubes and place them somewhere else in the sloth track. So for example, if he's having a bit of trouble eating goblins, he could get rid of one of these and put it back on the don't move for the turn one. It gives him a little bit more control in the way that he's going to wake up. Now that's where these dragon gems come into play. If he places them on the map, he can actually use these once per turn to contribute to these symbols over here. So say he desperately needs a second claw and he's pulled this, That second claw for the hiss ability, he could use that dragon gem if he's already placed it on the map. So the dragon, on his first turn, starts on the exact same location as the knight. Now this is not where he wants to be, so he can use those movements to move in a straight line and get out of there. While he's underground, he can actually avoid all walls, and he can move through darkness very easily. But once he's woken up, he has to abide by the same rules as most of the other characters. He has to, watch out for walls, and he's got to find his way back to the entrance so he can escape and win the game. Next up, we've got the cave, whose objective is to expand its caverns by playing all of his cave tiles, and then collapse, trapping in all the remaining players. The cave player will start its turn by drawing a number of omen tiles like these from the bag, and that's going to be a number depending on the amount of treasure and crystal tokens that are placed on the map. He can use these omens to sort of use spells or to use abilities similar to the way the dragon works. Summoning giant bats, causing rock slides, placing additional treasure tokens down, soporific spores, which either damage players or put them to sleep as the dragon, casts its everlasting hatred on the other players, which will sort of help grow the cave or help it collapse towards the end. And then the crystal surge here allows him to sort of realign some of the tiles that have already been placed on the board. Next up, the cave player will choose one of the tiles that he's got in his hand, and he'll place it face down on the map. And as the next part of his action, he might want to entice some of the other players from going to it by placing treasure throughout the map. Let's have a look at a fully fleshed out cave so we can understand how the cave decides to collapse. All the tiles have been played, and now it's time for the cave to start removing the tiles, once again creating a smaller play space in a final effort to trap the other players within. The cave player gets to take away 3 tiles per turn, and there's just a couple of guidelines that he has to follow while doing that. First off, you have to remove the tiles that have the least amount of connecting edges. Since this one here only had one connecting edge, that has to be one of the first ones to be removed, and over here we've got another one. So even though this has a treasure tile on it, this one is still removed and the treasure tile is placed back in the reserve. As there are no more tiles with a single connection, the cave player gets to choose to take one with 2 connections. Now there are going to be many options for this one, and so the cave player gets to decide which one to take. So this one here, that's a good option. Over here, another one. This one here is really good too because it gets rid of another treasure token. Of course, the cave player may want to keep those treasure tokens out there to allow him to draw more omens. The cave's goal is to remove as many crystal tiles as he can from the game. As soon as he's removed a total of 5, he wins. And finally, we've got the thief, whose main goal is to track down 6 treasures, stashing them at the entrance and winning the game. The thief will begin his turn by assigning skill points. Now that's these numbers here. Each one of those is placed in either the movement, stealth or thievery section. Movement works exactly the same way as the knight, just determines how many spaces he can move a turn. Stealth, this is kind of your defense against what the other players can do to you. And then thievery, well, that's how many actions you get per turn. Now your actions are sort of displayed through here. You take a number of action cubes that you can use to activate these abilities up here. So looting costs 1 cube, and you can use this to take a treasure or a gem from the map into your unstashed tokens. Now each one of these actually provides -1 to stealth, making it a little bit easier for the other players to get you. You can pickpocket other players. With the knight, you actually take something of theirs, converting it into a treasure. For the goblins, you steal their secrets, and the dragon, well, you put him back to sleep a little bit. Now, pickpocketing requires that you roll the dice here. For 1 cube, so a minor investment, you will be successful on a 4+. For 2 cubes, you will be successful on a 2+. Hooray! 3 cubes, if you really want to guarantee that success, it might be getting towards the end of the game, that is a 100% success. You could pick the lock. If you were to find one of these little vaults on the map, You could pick the lock very similar way to how you pickpocket other characters, getting a treasure that way. You can climb. For 2 cubes, you can cross a wall. For 3 cubes, you can enter impassable terrain. Now, that's something we haven't looked at yet, but we'll have a quick squiz at the end. Finally, you can backstab for 1 cube. Now, 1 cube you can cause a light injury, 2 cubes moderate, 3 cubes heavy, and each of these levels of injury will actually cause something different depending on which player you are going up against. Now, what's really cool about the thief is that if he is attacked in the cave, he actually dies. He drops any treasure that he was carrying in the particular section that he was killed, and he teleports back to the entrance. The player that kills him gets a very nice reward, and the thief's loot drop value decreases. Now, this ties in directly to the level of the reward for killing him. So the more times he gets killed, the lower the loot drop goes. Once the thief's collected his treasure again, and finally returns to the entrance, stashing the treasure, his loot drop level goes back up, making him a much more valuable target in the cave. Now, when the thief, after he's traveling around the map, he actually returns to the entrance and stashes his treasure, he can actually place that on one of the upgrade locations on his player board, either increasing one of his stats by 1 or increasing the effectiveness of his other skills. Once the thief has all 6 treasures stashed, he wins the game. You see what I mean? There is so much going on in this game. There are so many different ways to play, different ways to win, heaps of different things you've got to keep in mind while you're trying to outthink your opponents. I couldn't even get through everything in there for you. I mean, there's different tiles in the game. Each one of these has different movement conditions. There's variations on the gameplay that you can include. There's different difficulty levels depending on how much of a challenge you want if you're teaching it to someone new. And not only that, there are solo rules for each of the players, minus the cave. There are 2-player rules, there are 3-player rules, 4-player rules, 5-player rules, depending on which different characters are going to be included in the game. It is insane. This is truly one of those real Kickstarter success stories. One wild idea gets brought to life because the backers thought, hey, I'd like to play that game. And I was one of those guys. Like, I saw this and I was like, how is this going to happen? Take my money, make it happen, show me how this game will work. And I really appreciate it, the fact that it's here on my table now. It's got a fairly steep learning curve. I mean, it's a really good idea to play through the solo games of each of the players first, so you can get a really good idea of just how they work without having to think about everything else going on in the game. And once you've got a handle on that, really dive in and attack that 5-player game, because that is where it really shines. You've got 5 different players, each with an idea of how to win, and they're all being chased by each other. It's like a scissors, paper, rock game. We've got the dragon trying to escape, and to escape, he's got to chow down on the goblins. We've got the goblins trying to run away from the dragon, and they're trying to hunt the knight. We've got the knight who's then chasing the dragon. All amidst this, we've got a thief running around messing with every one of these characters, just trying to get his treasure and break his curse. And then we've got the cave, who is just welcoming everyone in with promises of treasure, and then being like, whoa, boom, trying to trap them all in there forever. The concept and design of this game is where it really shines. It's beyond all rational thought. The pieces are fine. The standee art is great. The standees I could take or leave because I haven't played with those guys since early Talisman, I think. But that's okay. We have those wooden little pieces and that makes it all wonderfully beautiful. It's been a pleasure following this game on the Kickstarter, and it's a pleasure to finally play this game in my house now. I cannot give this game more praise in actually setting itself apart from a lot of what's going on Kickstarter right now. I'm a huge fan. Track it down as soon as it hits stores, pick one up, do yourself a favor and give it a play. That being said, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe down below, and I'll bring you some more Kickstarter board games and a bunch more unboxings as I get them. I'm Michael, this is Bits of Board, thanks for watching.